Doug Mcknight here at the Yellow Dog office, going to tie you guys up a big streamer that we call the Adult Swim. A little bit of background information on that name. When I was a kid, I used to go to a public pool, and for 15 minutes on every hour, all the kids would have to get out of the pool, and all the dads and moms and granddads and grandpas could have 15 minutes of unmolested swim time. And kind of what we're going for with this fly is big fish, be it big trout, and certainly has its applications for stuff like pike and bass and all kinds of stuff. Anything that'll really consider eating an 8 to 10 inch, and you know, you can even tie it bigger than that if you really want to, size bait fish. First, just going to go over some of the materials with you. Going to use a good quality, strong, wide gap hook in a 2 or a 3/0, saltwater or freshwater, your choice. A couple of articulated shanks, and what this is going to do is going to help us create a long shank without getting too huge with the hook. Some eyes, a couple different colors of fox fur, some neck and saddle hackle. Some UV polar chenille, a couple different colors of flash boo and crystal flash, and finally some marabou. Alright, so after you get a coat of thread on the shank, we're going to put on some aluminum dumbbell eyes. We want to be able to add a little bit of weight to this fly. But if you use lead eyes this big, you're kind of out of the realm of being able to throw it very easily with a fly rod. And the aluminum is nice, and it also holds those nice 3D eyes pretty well for us. But tie them in just the way you would any other type of dumbbell eye. A couple figure 8s. I like to use some Zap-A-Gap. And just a bunch of good thread wraps on there. Alright, now the next step is to grab a couple of big white neck hackles. You can use any color hackle, tie this in kind of any flavor you want to. The one that I'm going to tie is one that, you know, could look like a small rainbow trout. Something that big trout can get awfully testy about. You can also use saddle hackle. Saddle hackle is typically longer than neck hackle if you wanted to tie a great big one. This one's going to end up being probably 7-8 inches long. So just put those hackles kind of concave to concave, and just like you would maybe tie a deceiver, tie in a pair of those. Trim off that excess. Next, I'm going to take a couple of fairly long, fairly thin-stemmed marabou plumes and just kind of lay them kind of right on the sides and tie those in as well. And this is going to be kind of the belly, or the fattest part of the fly is going to be kind of right in the middle here, right by this hook. So one white one on each side, and then I'm going to take an olive one, which is going to be the back, and just tie that right over the top. Next, I'm going to take some white fox fur. Not a ton of it, you don't need very much. And just kind of spread that out, tie it in kind of as the belly. So about the bottom half you want white. And the top, we're going to do the same thing, some olive. Just like so. From here, we're going to tie in a couple of different colors of flash. We're just going to do some pearl crystal flash here as a belly. not super long, you know, just kind of extending back to, you know, where the fat part of the fly is, kind of where that marabou is. Just going to try and tie in a pretty good amount, just like that. Next, a little bit of silver Flashabou or crystal flash, your choice. And once again, you can use any color flash you want to. Always fun to play around with different color combinations. And I'm just going to make this just a little bit uneven in my hand and tie it in just kind of down the sides. I want some of those Flashabou fibers longer than the others. And just take that excess, bend it around, tie it on the other side. And the last little bit of flash we're going to do some rainbow colored crystal flash. You know, baby rainbows, until they get, you know, pretty good size, don't really always have a ton of color to them. They can be pretty silvery, and this is the only kind of rainbow colors I'm going to put in on this fly. And I'm just going to go right over the top with those. Just adds a nice splash of you know, brighter colors in there. There's blue, there's green, there's pink, there's yellow. It's neat stuff to tie a baby rainbow trout with. Okay, next step, I'm going to take a couple of olive grizzly saddle hackles, and I want to get as much length as I can out of these guys, even if they extend past back those first feathers that we tied in. And those get tied in just on the sides, once again, one on each side. Just like that. Right. Next step from here, I'm going to take two more little white neck hackles. You could also use mallard flank, any type of round feather, and we're going to put some pectoral fins just on the sides here. You know, a fish that's 8 or 10 inches, it's got fins, and when the fish is looking at it from underneath, having those fins on there really makes a pretty realistic profile, which is always nice. You know, for fishing big trout with this fly, it seems like you know, you get some pretty big trout come up and really take a good long hard look and follow this thing. They're deciding whether it's real or not, and definitely going to put some fins on this fly. All right, from here we're going to take maybe about a foot, maybe even a little bit more than a foot of this UV polar chenille. I'm just going to make the two cut ends of that kind of meet up here, kind of forming a loop. And then I'm going to leave some little tag ends, you know, maybe an inch long, just kind of on the sides, and that's going to give it a nice amount of bulk here to start our head with. So just leave maybe an inch or so sticking out there. And then move your thread up to right in front of the dumbbell eyes. And then we're just going to make a kind of a big fluffy head out of this, and you know, maybe a full wrap behind the eyes, and then maybe a couple of figure eights, each one kind of pull those long kind of flash fibers out of the way. So maybe one figure eight, maybe one or two, and then just kind of move right up towards the eye of the hook and in front of those eyes, and go ahead and tie that off. And this little loop I have left there, I usually just slice that and kind of pull everything back. tie it down a little bit, make a nice little head. Whip finish that guy. And kind of the last step, you know, definitely put some head spin or some zap gap on that thread. This fly's hopefully going to take a bunch of abuse. And then we're going to put just some 3D eyes in these little sockets on these aluminum eyes. And even though these are adhesive backed, I like to put a little bit of super glue on here. It's definitely not permanent. You know, after you fish this a little while, these eyes are probably going to come off. Hopefully not. But they still work even without them. And one last thing I'm going to do is just take a green or an olive Sharpie and just give that head a dark back. Just like so. And we got ourselves a complete adult swim here. Doug Mcknight here at Yellow Dog, just finished up the adult swim. Really appreciate you guys watching. If you're interested in tying a big streamer for big predator fish that's not too hard to throw and relatively easy to tie, give one of these a shot. I think you'll find that some of the bigger fish will eat it occasionally.